Fellas, say goodbye to Chuck Sherman the boy. I am now a man. I highly recommend you join the club. We are doing the wild thing all night.
Acid house music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sherm.
Sherman, I cooked all this food. Is that all you gonna eat?
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of house music.
So, do you know anything about techno?
No.
Listen.
Get it on.
Yo, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm. Today is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. This is episode 153. Very, very excited to share this episode because we are getting these guys on right before the bubble pops. Episode 153 features the talented DJ-producer duo, Poolhaus. I've been following Sean and Devin since they first got into the scene a few years back, and it's been incredible watching them build such a special brand. In episode 153, we discussed their full story and got it all. We talked about their early inspirations and influences. These guys are East Coast born and raised, and they have loved music their whole lives. Although they're younger in the game, they have a rich history and appreciation of East Coast music culture, ranging from hip-hop and rap to after-hours techno vibes. We also talked about the inception and formation of Poolhaus. If you can believe it, Sean and Devin's relationship didn't start off the best. It wasn't until they both realized they shared a true passion for electronic music in college and decided to join forces and start a duo together. They haven't looked back since. It was so much fun running through these guys' discography. They have been hustling in the studio for a few years and have released some heaters on labels like Deep Root, Hood Politics, Spira, and Space Yacht. They also just released an official remix for DeVault, which showcased their incredible ability to maintain their sound while also going outside the box. Special producers right here, guys. Poolhaus have earned their stripes in the house music community in a relatively short period of time, and I believe it's because of their genuine contributions to the scene in so many different ways. Every time they give back twice as much. I got mad respect for the Poolhaus guys, and it's not just because I have a soft spot in my heart for anyone that can make it in NYC, let alone on the East Coast, but also because they are truly talented and they make a great team. Guys, thanks for coming on the show, and I cannot wait to hang with you soon. Let's get into it right now so you can hear their story for yourselves. This is episode 153 with Poolhaus. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sherm in the Booth. I am so excited to be here right now with the Poolhaus boys, Devin and Sean. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for making some time. How we doing?
Good. Great, man. Thanks so much for having us. Pumped to be here talking to you. I feel like this is a milestone any house DJ's got to go through.
Well, more than friends, one of the guys behind the scenes at Hood Politics called me the Joe Rogan of Tech House. And since then, I've been wearing that on my fucking sleeve, man. So I appreciate that.
Good. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and DJ Susan is the Tony Robbins of Tech House. So we make quite a team. It's a lot of energy. Not everybody can handle the energy, but I think you guys can.
Oh, yeah, I remember that Susan interview was very high energy. I feel like that's just the way that guy rolls, though.
He just went. He was interviewing me. I was just trying to get. And it was so great. We talk about it all the time because not every interviewee is as necessarily as charismatic or energetic as him, but it just turned into such this great building block for an interview. And that's my favorite part of this podcast, guys, is you were mentioning networking before, having to go to the clubs, having to go to the shows, having to go to things that maybe you don't want to just to kind of build your career. That was one of the main reasons that I started the podcast. It was really hard for me to network in the clubs. I came from Indiana, tried to make it in Chicago, thinking it was going to be easy peasy. No, stopped in my tracks. So I said, I've got to find a way to connect with people in person and actually give them something that they can't give me. And that was the main reason I started Sherm in the Booth. And this is episode 153. So wow. Yeah, so I've been doing it for over 4.5 years now. And it's just been the best way to meet people, dude. I can't even begin to tell you. I'm sure you guys have experienced this in one way or another. Once you get into the music industry and it becomes sort of your full-time passion, some friends fall to the side and new ones come. But in the music industry, especially in house music,
You meet people and there's an immediate connection, and it's so special to experience that. So I'm excited to have you on, man.
Absolutely.
Men, excuse me.
Not agree more. And I think you have a great platform for, people in the space, and super pumped to be here, bro.
Hell yeah, Sean. I mean, listen, dude, like when I think about the music industry too, it's an iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg is the David Guettas, the Calvin Harrises, the big festivals. The other 90% is us just trying to get to above the surface. But this is really where all the fun happens. This is where the journey goes on and where we can all coincide and cross paths. So it's a special time for all of us right now, for real.
For sure.
But Devin, you're in Delaware, man. I'm in Chicago. At least it's warming up here a little bit. Sean's down in Miami. Gosh,
Yep.
Jealous. Very jealous, but it's okay. How's Miami right now?
It's fully ripping, man. It's been fully ripping.
You don't say.
Fully ripping.
It's been fully ripping since like the clubs reopened in, I want to say, October.
Mhm.
So when like the major like clubs like Space, Treehouse, reopened their doors, and then other smaller venues like followed suit after that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, Miami's always sort of had the rep as being like a party city, but
Yeah.
I feel like now, especially during the pandemic, it's like the only place where people can come and like, do this shit.
Yeah.
See live DJs, go out and like be on a dance floor. So it's definitely been a unique place during the pandemic.
Yeah, I feel like you just see random people like on Instagram that you're friends with pop up, and all of a sudden they're in Miami. It's like everyone just
Or Tulum.
mecca to Miami. Yeah, or Tulum.
Everyone and their
How
mother.
are so many people going to Tulum? I don't
Get away with
understand that.
murder there, bro. Do whatever.
Who's buying the plane ticket? Like who's like bankrolling all of this stuff is what I don't understand.
Diplo.
Yeah, Diplo.
That's awesome, though. You know what's really sad, Sean, is last year was going to be my first year for Miami Music Week, and it was like right around now is when COVID was kind of starting to like, hey, like shit's getting real, y'all. You know what I mean? We got to cut it out. And I was positive that the following year would happen. In fact, Winter Music Conference said we'll refund. I think everybody thought it wouldn't last a year, but shit, here we are, and it should be Miami Music Week. It should be Winter Music Conference. It should be Ultra. But I'm glad. You know what? At the end of the day, man, the industry must go on and we have to thrive, and it's state regulations. So like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it just means that next year is going to be even bigger.
Yeah. I feel like we're three kings of networking here, and that's like the palace. That's like the Golden Gates, man. That's where everybody goes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Devin, how's Delaware then, man? Because I know you said before we got on air, you were in New York, came down to Delaware. You've been there since COVID, so the past year or so?
Yeah. So my lease in New York like ended in August, but like I spent most of the summer here, and like I was working from home, so like at the beach and stuff too. So Delaware is Delaware. I don't know if you've ever been. I haven't
been. I didn't know people lived there.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's exactly what everyone says. People are like, it's the beach, right? And I'm like, I live way away from the beach, as far as away from you can get in Delaware. But I mean, it's fine. A lot of my friends from around here, ran into the same thing where they ended up moving from wherever city they were from and back to Delaware. So it's been manageable. It's been fun. And then I still have a ton of friends in New York City, and like my girlfriend lives in New York City, so I'm back there all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like I've fully left sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a great city, man. Like I said, I put my Yankees hat on for you guys. I got a real soft spot in my heart for anyone on the East Coast, really, New Yorkers. I got two cousins that went to Temple. One just graduated. Another one's still there right now. Family in Philly. My mom's from Baltimore. I told you my dad's from Queens. I love the East Coast.
Got some roots in New York.
Yeah,
I do got some roots.
Transplant, or are you born and raised in Chicago or Indiana?
I was born in Los Angeles, actually. And my parents met at UCLA. My dad was a doctor. My mom was a nurse. And then about a year after I was born, we moved to Indiana, Zionsville, Indiana. It was about 7,000 people outside of Indianapolis. not exactly a happening spot, but my dad is the type of New Yorker that was happy to kind of get out of the city and experience Los Angeles. And he still talks about it today, how much he loves his giant backyard. So if you guys, you wanted to know, a beer in Chicago is about $10. A beer in Indianapolis is about $5, same quality. So if you're looking for a deal, go down there.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, but I grew up in Indiana and then been in Chicago for the past 6 years now. So it's definitely the place for me. I love it here. But anytime I can get out to New York and anywhere on the East Coast, really, man, you guys just like, you're not cut from the same cloth. You just like are straight to it, but such good people. And yeah, I love the East Coast, especially New York and New York City, guys. I mean, you guys cut your teeth in one of the hubs of electronic music in the entire world. I mean, everybody has heard of New York City, but to try and build your name up in a city like that and to see where you guys have come from and built an incredible brand and releasing all this music, it's just a great story. And I'm super pumped to dive into it right now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's start at the beginning though. I mean, when did you guys actually meet each other?
Yeah, I don't. Whose side of the story do you want to hear?
We got two sides of the story. What?
No, Sean and I both end up going to the same school for college. We both went to Trinity College in Connecticut.
Yeah, I've heard. Absolutely. Good lacrosse.
Yeah.
You guys have a good lacrosse team there?
Yeah. It's
good squash team.
Good squash.
Actually.
I can't say I'm heard of your squash team, but I'm happy to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, we we're both like, I think we met in club hockey. Like we both played hockey in high school, and both tried to join the club team. But like, to be honest, I don't think we were really big fans of each other until like maybe our junior or senior year. Like, I didn't really like Sean like my freshman year at all.
We definitely got off to a shaky start.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I can't quite put my finger on what it was, but I think our freshman year, I might have said a couple things, or I don't know.
Yeah, man. He said something to me at a party.
Damn, Sean.
He said something to me at a party, and it started a little aggressiveness, and then after that, we were like frenemies for a year or two.
Oh my gosh!
But I mean, Sean, I ended up joining this club that Sean was in. I don't want to like hog the mic, Sean, but I ended up in this club that Sean was in, and it planned the concerts. I don't give a better description of it.
Yeah, it was like the Entertainment Activities Council on campus. So we would book all the live shows that we'd bring to campus. It was super cool. We booked, like, this was back when like, you know, we were into like Kygo and shit and Louis the Child.
I was gonna ask, what year was this?
Yeah, dude, it was 2016 or 2015. Kygo was like the big guy. Like if you were in SoundCloud at all, like you knew who Kygo was, and everyone on college
That
college
Often
like,
remix
to
that fucking blew up on set. Isn't it funny, dude? You could literally go on a world tour from a SoundCloud remix.
Literally.
Yeah. He was, Kygo and the whole like tropical house wave was super big at that time. So we booked him one of the years, Louis the Child another year. But regardless, it was just a cool like committee to be a part of. And Devin joined like the year after I was there. So we got to know each other a little bit more through that.
And we found out that we just like liked the same music.
Yeah, we just like got that we were both, you know, into music.
Two guys with a love for the aux.
For sure. We ended up joining different fraternities, but we both DJ'd a good amount in college, whether it was just like controlling the aux or actually spinning at parties. So just like as college went on, we got to know each other better and better. Like Devin mentioned, we also played club hockey together.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw a lot of each other, and it was a small school, so it was hard to avoid each other at times.
I feel like that. Is it like a small liberal arts school from?
There's got to be like 2000, yeah, under 2000 maybe.
Yeah, my brother went to a college like that. It's a really interesting experience. I went to Indiana University where it's like 40,000 students, you know what I mean? And my brother went to DePaul University where it's like 2,500 students. And the first time I went there, you know, he was in a fraternity and I expected like nobody to be there because it was so small. But the fact, yeah, you run into each other. But the fact is, it feels like a big school with these frats and sororities, man.
Yeah, yeah. You do run into the same people though, and like I feel like Sean and I just couldn't avoid each other. Became tight, liked the same music, would send each other all tunes all the time, and then like moved to New York after school, and naturally just ended up hanging out more. I mean, I feel like the whole thing started. Like I had been producing a lot in school, but it was all like tropical house and future based music.
Classic starting point, absolutely.
That was kind of my jam. Like I had done a lot of hip hop when I was in high school, and then I came to college and was like, wow, what's electronic music? Like this is awesome. And so
you were producing hip hop beats?
Yeah. I used to produce like I used to sample records and all that, the old stuff. I had the machine. It's somewhere around here. Yeah, all the way over there. You know, like the beat pad machine.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one of those.
Yeah, for sure. That was my thing. I had like a buddy introduce me to Wu-Tang Clan and like DJ Premier and Gangstar back when I was 14, and was like, I need to make the beats. I need to make these beats, and how are they sampling these records? All of that stuff. And so I had Logic for forever, but then like, yeah, came to college, got into electronic music, met Sean, and I feel like that's when I got into house music. Sean was always.
Were you producing as well?
I had dabbled a little bit in like GarageBand. Obviously, I feel like everyone stuck with GarageBand. In high school, a little bit with Logic. Didn't really play around with it much in college. I was mostly DJing in college.
Of course, it's so hard to focus. I didn't think I need to produce in college. You just want to party and DJ, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. But I had always sort of been more into electronic music, like even further back, like into high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at Trinity, like there was a pretty, people for the most part, like at parties, you'd hear a lot of like deep house, like UK, like commercial deep house was like super big, and got bigger in popularity as college went on for us. So like I feel like by the time we graduated, which is like around when Poolhaus like started, that's like primarily what we were listening to. And,
I was trying to get to like the point of like I had been producing that tropical house separately, and then when I met Sean, so like as we got to know each other and figure out like we both liked electronic music, Sean like pushed house, I guess, more on to me. Like he was like sending me house tunes, sending me like Tom Budin and like I feel like those were the kind of artists that were big at that time, like Tom Budin, Sunburn, that kind of deep house.
Yeah, kind of bridging the gap as well from like pop. It's like pop deep house, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, deep house, like a little future house, like mixed in there too. That was like super big during that time frame.
It was nuts.
But you were genuinely into that, Sean. Like it wasn't just like a trend. Like you really loved that, and then you ended up exposing Devin's love for it, and here we are now.
Yeah, I shoved that shit down Devin's throat.
Okay, all right.
That's I feel like that kind of gets to like how we like started Poolhaus though. Like moved to New York, and I had been producing this stuff. I started to try to make some of this stuff that Sean was sending to me, like this more UK inspired house.
Okay, so still friends at this point, right? Just not
still friends at this point,
right?
Yeah, and dude, I was on the way to Izu with our friend Zach,
Mhm.
and I texted Sean like, "Hey man, I've made a couple of house songs, and I want you to hear them because like I know this is the kind of stuff that you like, and I want you to like tell me what you think." And I sent them to him, and like, if we listen back to them, I'm sure now I'd be like, these were shit, like these are awful. And Sean's
Always,
like,
man, yeah.
Sean's like, yo, these are kind of sick. Like I really fuck with this one.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, would you want to like do this with me? And like, we can make house music together because I don't know a ton about it. You do. I really love it. I want to learn more. And like, I've been making music, but like, I don't know anything about this genre. And like, from there, I feel like we sat on a few tunes for like months.
So what year was that?
That was right after we graduated. It would have been like
summer of 2017.
Summer of 2017.
So
Yeah.
I'd say like before like the big like, you know, like Fisher, like Chris Lake tech house boom.
Yeah.
Of 2018.
Right.
So
yeah, right before that.
That's awesome. So that's kind of how it all came together. I mean, you guys, it was kind of already just like channeling towards you guys forming a duo, right? Did you guys actually like after you sent that to him, did you guys get in the studio together, or did you keep kind of just like aligning on tracks, sending stems, or did you finally meet in person and was like, all right, we got to do this? Or what's the story when you finally decided?
I feel like at the time, Sean was in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, I was living in
So
Connecticut. You were in the city.
Yeah. And so like things weren't really like, we were still like testing out like what kind of stuff to make. So it was a lot of like me working in New York and sending things to him, and then like reworking stuff. And then sometimes like on the weekends when I didn't have work and Sean wasn't doing anything, like he would come in and we would work on stuff. And I had a studio apartment at the time, like sit in my studio apartment and work on stuff for like 2 days straight. So that was kind of the dynamic for a while. And like, honestly, pretty much through 2018, I feel, until Sean ended up moving to New York around then. Yeah. And then it was much easier from there because you could like pop into my apartment on a weeknight and like get down to business and like work. But
it's awesome. Came together. Sean, what was the perspective for you at that point? Like someone who kind of was already in the house realm, you were DJing. I mean, Devin, of course, was having his own success. Just in regards to DJing and producing, what about from your perspective? What was it like to be like, all right, Devin's sending me music. This guy's got a passion for it. Did you feel like you want to take the jump, or are you hesitant?
Oh yeah, I was all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like as someone who really liked the music and DJing, I just thought this was like the natural next step to just like start making music.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he was like the ideal partner. He had a pretty damn good like background in Logic. I know
you guys are in Logic still.
Yeah, we both still use Logic, man.
Yeah. Are you a Logic guy?
The Logics.
Yeah. I'm too adapted to it, man.
I know. Are we all Apple guys here too? Then I can only assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Glad we got that over with. That's awesome, though. That's awesome.
I was fucking stoked about this. I still am. I haven't lost any of the interest or passion. Yes, I'm fucking. Let's go, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 2017, you guys come together. I guess before we even get into when you first started leading music, Poolhaus, great name. I don't have to tell you that. You guys know it's a great name. How did that name come together?
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
I've been a little on the name.
I think it's a vibe, dude. I get a feeling when you read it.
True. I'll let Sean tell the story because I don't quite remember it.
All right. So full disclosure, I fully came up with the name. I just thought it was. I feel like at the time, like the stuff we were making, like this sort of commercially sounding like deep house vibe was very like, it evoked like summer, poolside, or pool party vibes. So I just thought, pool, house, like house music, but maybe spell it like, in like they do in Germany.
Yeah. Very scientific equation right now.
Yeah, exactly. And make it one word, because I feel like one word DJ names, hit in a special way. And I just thought it was something that like would stand out on a lineup or like a flyer.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to it, that's the biggest thing. Something that people will remember and be able to associate.
I think it's a great
music
name.
With. So thank you.
If it calms your nerves at all, I think
it's
a great name.
Like Sean's last point of like it sticks out on a flyer has been my like saving grace with the name, because I know that like there's been like, especially when you're playing in New York and you're playing on like at a bunch of different clubs, but the same people are still coming to the shows, and so like they're gonna remember if the openers named something specific. So like and it has people have like come up to us like, oh, I saw you at whatever a few months ago. I remember you guys. So
yeah, and I think even if like our sound and like sound identities change, which it definitely has from like the early days, I still think the name is tight. I think it's something that people remember, and I think that's at the end of the day all that really matters. Like, why did Camel Fat name themselves Camel Fat?
Yeah, so true. That's
true.
Coming up a lot lately in the podcast, and I feel like actually in like media, DJ Snake wasn't so happy with his name, but then he actually got big off it and was like, all right, fuck it, whatever, it's working. There are lots of people.
Yeah.
I think if I see the name Poolhaus, I'm literally thinking, all right, I'm listening to the house music by the pool, and that's a vibe, and it's a good name to remember. And no matter the scope of your guys' music, it can all be played poolside, boys. That I will tell you. That's for sure. Might be an after party in Miami
maybe
at night
maybe
at 3 a.m. But depending on which track we're playing. But I mean, gosh, I really like you guys. And it's funny. I remember when I first started following Deep Root, this was like 2018 or something. You guys were playing some shows with Francis, I think. I can't exactly remember, but I saw you, and I've been following you for a long time, actually, like since then, because you guys were playing at this legit club. And, I guess 3 years ago at this point, like I was still trying to figure out different scenes in different cities and who to interview and who was making a name for themselves. So tip of the hat to you boys. You've been hustling for a few years.
That's
now.
awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
You got an LED screen behind you. You've made it to a certain level, right?
Are you talking about the show at Marquee with Francis?
Maybe. I think it seemed kind of like it wasn't. Did you open for him there at his headline show?
Yeah. Was that summer of 2019?
It was before then. It was definitely before then.
All right. Well.
Okay.
Yeah, because Deep Root did hold a showcase at Marquee, and he was the headliner, and we were direct support right before him.
So casual. Fucking Marquee.
That was.
Dude, I can't have a better night at Marquee. I can't go back there after that now. I'm like, you can't top that night. So
he talked about that show when I interviewed him, and I just think that's so cool. Like when you're a local in a city, right? And you get an opportunity, whether it's a headline show, support spot, people could choose to go to a million different things. It happens in Chicago all the time. New York, you probably got 100 more options. But it's just so cool. The brand that Francis has developed, the following that he's got, the opportunities he's given to up-and-comers like you, I think is what makes labels like Deep Root so special. So, I mean, you guys deserve that spot, man. And that's awesome. I'm going to ask about that show because Marquee's like huge, dude. That's where like Zed plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely cool.
Definitely.
And we love the Deep Root guys, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'm sure another, I'm sure you'll want to get to that, but we owe a ton to the deepest guys, honestly. Like,
Francis, Kyle, Ajamu, they're all like
the first
the
event,
homies.
the first
Yeah.
event we played in New York were Deep Root events, and
Yeah.
they were pretty instrumental in like helping us break into the scene.
Yeah. Well, they're
Absolutely.
who have been through their own obstacles as well. And I think when they see talent and they see people hustling, it's pretty obvious to them. I try and do that in Chicago as much as I can too. So I resonate with what they're doing, and they don't give opportunities to people that aren't working for it, guys. And it's obviously based upon your music. And 2017 to 2018, you guys were in the studio, clearly. 2019, music started coming around. Did you release anything before 2019, or that was your first release, right?
Nothing that was like you would find on a label or Spotify. I don't think. We had a lot
SoundCloud. You guys had all your releases on SoundCloud. I use that as a reference point, and I double confirmed on Spotify what sort of release it was. Told you, investigative journalist, man.
Love it.
We definitely had a lot of SoundCloud releases before them.
Yeah, we put out
a lot.
Put out a bunch of tracks on SoundCloud, a lot of which used samples illegally.
Yeah.
We were just playing around, and a lot of the tracks actually like got a ton of traction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're our most played tracks.
Yeah, our most played tracks even to this day.
You never know what's gonna work. SoundCloud is a beast in and of itself, and it's funny because SoundCloud at first, I feel like until Apple Music and Spotify really made their mark, it was kind of the avid electronic music listeners space to go for mixes. That's why it was huge. Find remixes, all that sort of stuff, edits, whatever. So, I mean, no surprises you guys found success on SoundCloud. So 2018 was your year of first releases, right?
For sure. Yeah. I think we released a ton of music on SoundCloud then. But then I feel like there's almost a seal of approval where you're like, I need to be on Spotify. I have like friends asking me, where can I hear your stuff? And you can't say like, well, do you have SoundCloud? Because I feel like the people who live on SoundCloud are like college kids and other DJs. Like that's essentially what it is. So
this is not the market share, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We had to figure out like how do we get on Spotify. And I honestly think our first Spotify tune was a remix for Francis.
It was.
Yeah. Treat Me Like a Lady.
Yes.
Treat Me Like a Lady.
Holds
Great
a special
track.
place in my heart.
Oh, it is a good track, boys. And it's so cool because I want to go into more questions here, but it's really cool because your guys' DeVault remix that you just released sort of has a lot of different sort of structures and foundations and elements as that remix. And I don't know if you guys do remixes in a certain way, but I definitely heard some similarities.
Yeah.
Someone might have a soft spot for melodic house.
Yeah,
and it comes out when there's some vocals involved.
Yeah.
I think for those two remixes, we just found that going the melodic route worked best.
Powerful vocals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Deserve some sort of energy behind them rather than just a rolling bass line, for lack of a better phrase, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like it just sometimes works, but like you try a bunch of different, I'm sure like you try a bunch of different versions of something.
Oh yeah.
And you try to make some techie and some other in other ways, and it's just like what sticks and what sounds the best. So
yep. Yeah, I mean you gotta experiment with it, but before Treat Me Like a Lady, we got to bring up this EP, the Feel Your Body EP, guys.
Oh shit.
Oh right.
Yeah, come on. We're going back. Now, this is a great EP. We got Feel Your Body and Brooklyn Bullshit, released on 3000 Deep, which is a subsidiary of 3000 what? Something else.
3000 I think.
Yeah, a reputable label to have you guys for. This was your first label release, right?
Yes.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it was.
Quite the accolade. And it's a really cool track because it's got this like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Gallo. He just released on Hood Politics, but kind of this G-Tech vibe. Because you guys have this G house like lead, but it has so many tech house elements. And you even have some deep and melodic house with it. I mean, you did a great job in the FX in these two tracks.
of course, the vocal chopping, Brooklyn bullshit, man. Like Notorious B.I.G. Show some fucking love. I loved that, but it was really cool because, I mean, compared to some of your SoundCloud tracks, like you stepped it up, and that's why this label signed it. What was it like for you guys in the studio producing this? Did you say we got to get a label release? Let's take it up a level, or was this kind of in the vault and you just made connections?
So we had the A side, that Feel Your Body, and Sean, what was that song that you sent me around that time that I was obsessed with?
Bro, I think no fucking idea.
I think it was a Will Easton song. It might have been a Will Easton song. And I mean, that Feel Your Body sounds nothing like Will Easton, but if you like listen to it, he's got these crazy like harmonies and chords going throughout the whole thing. And so I feel like we laid down those chords, and we just wanted to make the drop sound nothing like it. We're like, this needs to be a tech house drop.
Yep.
We looked back at an old description of what we called ourselves from back then, like recently, and like in 2018 we were calling ourselves a G house duo.
This was pretty much, that's what I'm saying. It was G house, but with a lot of tech house elements, which is a big foundation of your guys' tracks now.
Yeah, I feel like around that point, when we put those 2 tracks out in that EP, I don't know if we were like getting a little over like the vibe that we had been making up to that point. I think we just wanted to experiment, and I think our taste in music was just evolving, and wanted to push the boundary a little bit.
It kind of sucked that we couldn't play any of our songs at shows. Like we didn't have any of our own songs at that time that fit with like what we were throwing in mixes.
Right.
So it was like, well, we gotta make things that fit with the rest of the stuff that we're playing.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like we had that Feel Your Body demo, and then we played a show at UVA. Shout out to Local Singles.
There's UVA, great college. Had one of my best friends went there. Great party scene.
So there's this duo that I'm sure you're gonna hear.
Singles.
Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot about them this year.
Yeah.
But
oh yes.
But one half of them, Sean, you got it.
Yeah, one half of this duo, we know both of them very well, but this kid Zach, he had us play his frat party at UVA, and I think it was the first like show that we tested out Feel Your Body, and it was nuts. It was it was party. It was insanity. It
was a great time.
Great time.
But
Thanks
as soon as we
for the booking.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as we flew back though, we stopped in my apartment and made that B-side, which is the Brooklyn Bullshit.
Okay.
And I think after that, like mixed it the next week and then started sending it out to labels. I don't know. A 3000 Deep might have been our first one. I feel like we sent things to like I take it back. We sent it to Insomniac and got a swift no.
At least you got a response.
I know. Yeah,
that's true. We had to shoot our shot there.
Yep.
But it felt great to like obviously get an EP signed to like a label, even though I don't think it even came out on Beatport. I think it was just streaming. But,
yeah,
still felt great to like get that recognition.
Yeah. A little bit of acknowledgement goes a long way.
For sure.
Seriously.
Yeah, because I mean, it's finally the point where like not just like your inner circle, your friends, family, and whoever else might repost it on SoundCloud. It's like the validation of a professional label that runs a business says, we like your music, we're going to take a chance on it, right? There's another level there. Oh, there are lots of different sizes of labels and qualities and professionalism. 3000 Deep, legit guys. So that was a big moment for you. And then we come into this Treat Me Like a Lady remix. Was this, before we talk about the track, was this your guys' first exposure to Deep Root, or how did you meet Francis? Like, how did this even come about?
A Jam. Do you know who a Jamu is?
Who doesn't know a Jamu? The fucking king of New York.
Shout out.
Shout out to Jamu.
Jamu was starting up like this party on Thursday nights, called like I don't know if it was Common Ground Thursdays. It's Common Ground's this bar and meatpacking, like bar kind of club thing in meatpacking. And he hit us up on Instagram and was like, "Hey, would you guys want to play at one of these upcoming Common Ground Thursdays?" And like that was when we first had any contact with Deep Root. I think we were following all of them.
That was our introduction.
Other than like just following them on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
And
when there might have, heard one of our tracks on SoundCloud or something.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they reached out to us, and we've been super close with them ever since. And we got that opportunity to remix Francis. I think that was summer of 2018.
It was May 2019.
That's when it came out. But he, when we met them at that show, he was like, "Hey, would you guys want to remix one of my things?" And then they followed up in an email. They're like, "Which one do you want?" It was like "Treat Me Like a Lady," or he had another single that had just come out too that was of the similar vein. And we're like, "Let's do "Treat Me Like a Lady," and he sent it over. And I think it was like 5 months until then the whole remix pack ended up coming out. But
that's awesome though. Jeez, talk about networking. And Sean, you're heavily involved in the label, man. I've been in a WhatsApp group with one of the artists I manage, Sansis. When did you become part of the team?
Last summer, I joined the A&R team, and it was definitely like a full circle moment. Joined the team in a certain capacity. I've always been close with the guys there. Kyle James, shout out to him, the label manager.
Kyle's a great guy, man.
Francis, Ajamu, Walter, everyone else. They've always been super good to us. They've had us play shows. They've always supported our music. And I felt like a good, logical, it just made sense to join the team in some capacity, or just to be involved. And I think it was July, or started talking to them about doing it last July. And I think I joined officially in August, joined the A&R team. But it's been great. From a networking perspective, Devin and I have built up, a solid number of contacts through Poolhaus.
Yeah.
So that's been, it's made the transition into A&R easier, I'd say. And I've also made some connections through doing A&R that, conversely, I think will pay off for us as Poolhaus. So it's been a learning experience for sure. Francis can be a tough cookie.
Don't we know it? Perfectionist to say the least, but
proving
knows what he likes
and all that stuff. But I have nothing but good things to say about the experience thus far, and I think I'll continue to do it. And the label, the music side of the label, is doing great things right now.
Yeah, man.
Signing some great talent. I'm super hyped for the future. So
I think
those honestly, 2 chapter and verse tracks,
dude,
and
it's
Susan.
Incredible. It's incredible. In my opinion, I interview a lot of people, right, that are releasing on labels and been on labels and are label heads, whatever it might be. And the hustle that I see from Deep Root Records, Rawsome Records, Hood Politics, and also Wildcard, Vanilla Ace, shout out Vanilla Ace. You guys are the next thing. I'm confident in that. Just because of the effort that is put in and the people involved behind the scenes. So major props to Deep Root. They come up all the time. And the best thing about them, and just like all these other labels I just mentioned, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter what your reputability is or what your connections are you producing good music? And is this something that we want to release on the label? If the answer is yes and yes, then you're in. And I think that's what's so special and what is lost a lot in major labels and bigger labels that were once Deep Roots. So it's so special to see labels like that really grow, man. So props to you guys on that.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, man. I actually forgot that you had interviewed Francis.
Yeah. sometime during the pandemic. I don't really know what happened during that course of that year timeline was, but sometime there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they're great. We have a couple projects upcoming with them that we're excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from an A&R standpoint, a lot going on. I'm super busy, so it's been great. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro. Keep going. Massive props to Deep Root. So we gotta ask about these guys. Harder, Deeper, and Lay Down. Let's just bundle it together here on Syrup, based out of Switzerland. Another very reputable label, guys. What the hell, man? Like Switzerland's #1 like electronic music label. I'm like, Poolhaus knows what the fuck they're doing, man. You guys make the concerted effort. You produce the great music. But what was so cool about these tracks is, once again, different than Feel Your Body and Brooklyn Bullshit. Certainly different than Treat Me Like a Lady. And you know what was so funny about these tracks? Not even funny, but like I laughed because I was like, these are so Euro. These tracks are so fucking Euro. These guys should be headlining a festival in Romania or something.
Jeez.
I couldn't agree more that they sound Euro as fuck.
Yeah,
They are. I mean, no surprises they took them.
I don't even
I think we were going through.
know what went into our heads at that time.
Yeah, I think we were having like an existential crisis of like, what
what
are we doing?
I really do. It just is not. It was just so different. Like when I was running through your tracks, I was like, okay, like this cover looks super Euro. This is probably a Euro track. I like them. I really do. Both very playable and both very different too. Euro in their own way. It just goes to show like the depth of European styles of electronic music. But I really like these tracks. But I want to hear the backstory.
Dude, that was such the story of getting it signed, like, was on a whim that it ended up at Syrup. Sean,
Really?
I feel like was it? I don't know what he did.
I think we used this platform actually.
Was it? It wasn't Submit Hub, was it? Was it Submit Hub?
Like an earlier iteration of Submit Hub, but we use this platform that basically allows you to submit music, submit demos to labels, and like certain labels will have their pages set up on the platform, and it was the only, like, after doing like a bunch of research, it was the only one that really seemed like, it was worth our time to shoot our shot for. And yeah, it was 2 for 2. They took both.
2 for 2.
It was, yeah.
And I don't know when those came out, but it was like months after as most songs are, like months after you made them. I honestly think we made it around the same time as Treat Me Like a Lady. At least Lay Down, or not Lay Down, Harder, Deeper was like the same time as Treat Me Like a Lady in terms of like when we were actually sitting down and making it, which is why I think it's like still a bit melodic like that.
Yeah.
Because I think we were going through some shit. Sean was, maybe pushing too much melodic house onto us. He's the when you talk about A&R, which is like funny that Sean's on Deep Root A&R, because like he's really good at finding new music and like finding new artists. And like we said before, like he would send me all this music that I hadn't heard before. And so like that happens now, is like he is like almost like A&R of us. I feel like he like sends a lot of tunes our way. Like we have a group obviously with him and our manager, and he's like, hey, like this song's hot. Have you heard this song? This was the best song to come out. And I honestly feel at that time he must have been on a melodic kick.
Honestly, I don't remember, but it's super possible.
Yeah, he must have been like.
I think we were just going through a phase, man.
We were going through a phase. We were going to too many Brooklyn Mirage shows.
Yeah.
Too many late night afters where there's like melodic house playing, and we decide we get inspired or something. I don't know.
I get it.
It's a dip in like from house, and then it goes to this weird melodic stuff, and then like now it's more tech house. But I mean, like you said, I guess we jump back to it later. But
yeah, I mean, you guys kind of defy like what a path is supposed to be. I can't even remember who I said this to, but I'm feeling that vibe from you guys again. Like you guys are like a highway, but it's the Autobahn. And it just depends what fucking lane you're in, right? Are we like far left with some fucking driving tech house? Like we've heard like in B-side, speaking of on Kobu Records, that's far left lane. We're going fast, boys. And sometimes like harder, deeper, and laid down is like far right, middle lane. And I think it's all part of the story. And it's really interesting because I do hear a lot of those melodic elements in some of these remixes that you guys have done. So I like the tracks. Be proud of those motherfuckers. And to be released on an international label, get that sort of exposure to be guys from the East Coast and release it on a European label. They're giving you guys exposure to an entirely different market, right? Like it's no secret that even within Europe and then Eastern Europe, it's crazy, right? But it was minimal, but has a lot of texture to it. So I really like these tracks for real.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it was cool. EDX actually played out.
There we go.
It was Harder, Deeper in one of his radio shows. So that was like our first taste of like, big international name playing one of our tracks, like giving support to one of our tracks like on the radio. So that was
awesome.
Huge for us.
I completely forgot about
very
that.
EDX vibes. That's like it was like on the tip of my tongue. I was like, I don't know who this is a sound for, but it's exactly that. But I love it.
I think he is actually like the artist head of Syrup.
Yeah.
Syrup does like
involved in some way.
It's like the Syrup parent and like all those people who are on it. I forget what the label is called, but like Nora and Pure and Croatia Squad. And there's like all these different enormous tunes. Like that's them. And so like, I forget what we were on. Pink Star is one of their like more melodically imprints. But it's all under EDX, I'm pretty sure.
It's such a different world, but you defied the odds again and literally went outside the box. But B-side, this is my shit, guys. This is like the shit that I fucking love. Kobu Records. And we finally get your first taste of the Poolhaus tech house vibe. That's what I was talking about, 3 a.m. Miami. That's what I'm playing here poolside is this track. This one I think is really cool because we get a rolling bass line, we get dirty percussion, catchy vocals. I mean, I'm thinking you guys went to an underground party and then came out inspired after this. I don't know if you went from the melodic party and then you went to an even after. I mean, I know how New York is. It never stops there. But tell me about this one because it was, every track in 2019, guys, totally different.
I think it comes down to...
We went to Ultra. That's what it was.
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah. I took Devin to Ultra, and this was the year it was on Virginia Key, and we basically spent we only did one day, but we spent the entire day on Resistance Island, which is...
Why go anywhere else?
Resistance is like just the house and techno mecca. So I think we were super, super inspired after that. We saw Jamie Jones back-to-back, Joseph Capriati, Carl Cox, Camel Fat, and Solardo.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure we stumbled into a Solid Grooves tent.
Yeah.
Unknowingly. It was just super eye-opening for both of us, but I feel like especially for Devin because he was,
I don't think I'd ever really, of course, Sean and I would go to shows in New York and stuff, but never really experience tech house, Solardo tech house and on such a massive stage like that.
Yeah.
And I remember turning to Sean at one point and be like, holy cow, this music is amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I feel from there, we came back and it was, we want fat subby bass lines. We want crazy percussion. We want these obscure vocal samples that come in and out. That was our jam afterwards.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to what we were super inspired by and listening to at the time. So I think that's why B-side was the next one.
Yeah.
That's so funny you guys told that story. I actually have not been to Ultra, like I said, never been to Miami, but I had that same experience. Loved tech house. You know, I'd been to some parties in Chicago, a club or whatever it was, but I went to Cross Festival in San Diego. You guys heard of that festival?
I've heard of Cross.
Yeah.
Heard great things about Cross.
So sick. You guys gotta go. But it was the first time I had really heard Solardo. It wasn't Solardo, but it was that style. Rolling bass lines and hearing that shit on a fucking proper outdoor sound system that has to be heard by 5,000 or more people. I remember being like, what the fuck is this? I haven't heard music in this form ever. And the same thing happened to me, guys. I was making, deep house, whatever, that really simple deep pluck house, the boop, 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 whatever, right? No shame on that.
Yeah.
I released the music, you know what I mean? It's still out there in the world. But I came back and I was like, how do I make these gritty bass lines? Where are they getting these samples from? What is so special about this music? And on that point, guys, 2019 ends, right? You've released music, all different music, like I said. Did you guys kind of have a moment in the studio where you were like, okay, we're going to take it to the next level here? Or were you just continuously getting better? What processes had changed from a music production perspective? And we'll start with Sean.
Oh, I think the production has, raised its level every single release we've put out.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's pretty clear just from listening back on stuff. And I think just the process of working together, Devin and I, sort of figuring out the balance between just workflow and getting to know each other better, how we work, and I think just
everything
getting more efficient, stuff of that nature, just things that you pick up on from putting out music and coming up with, not putting out music, but just making as much, music as you can. And we made a lot of music that year, a lot. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of whips lying around.
The graveyard, baby. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about your perspective, Devin? I mean, in the studio, what changed for you guys?
I think that was a lot of trial and error. It was figuring out, learning some new synths. It was a big time of learning in terms of mixing wise for us. The guy who runs Kobu, this guy Solomon Losh, Sean actually met randomly at a party somewhere in Brooklyn, and we ended up hanging out with him. And that's where we played him B-side, and he was like, I want this. But then some of our later tracks, we learned some stuff from him. He showed us some new techniques to go through, and
there you go.
And I think it was just a lot of figuring out our plugins, figuring out our soft synths, and learning how to make those things more unique.
Yeah.
And kind of not just fall into the same, try not to fall into the same line as all the other music that was coming out. I guess you run to a thing where you're I'm trying out a new genre, but you almost sound like the most generic part of the genre. So I feel there was a period of time for us after that song where we were making a lot of stuff, but not making a lot of stuff that we thought would stand out. Just because it was kind of a new genre for us when you get away from that melodic stuff and the deep stuff, and it's more into this techie stuff. It's a lot of learning.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing, especially in Logic too, right? Can you remember back to some of the first times you open Logic and you're like, what do I do? How do I put anything in here? And then you sit with someone. I don't know if you guys, I was going to ask if you had any mentors during this time, and it seems like you kind of did, right? You got to get in the studio, whether they're in Logic or not, and kind of see how a workflow process works. I feel that for myself personally, at least, I'm a visual learner, and I like to kind of sit shotgun and watch people do their thing and ask questions and learn. And it's just so much different. And I envy in some ways that you guys are a duo, because there are days when one person's going to be more creative than the other, or when one person has a certain idea that they heard from something. And I think that's what's so cool. I guess on that note, as a question for a duo, is one of you like have a role in the production ring, like makes the bass lines or makes the percussion or finds the vocals, or what's kind of your guys' relationship in that regard?
I would say from like a technical standpoint and like mastery of the DAW of Logic, Devin is the brains. I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. And I'd say like I'm pretty good at coming up with ideas, and I've definitely sent Devin some like workable ideas. Sent him some stems of doodles I've come up with that I think could play. And yeah, so I still have a lot of work to do on my own and like mastering Logic and getting fluid in that language. But from like an ideas standpoint, I feel like I have a lot to contribute. And if Devin sends me something, I'll send him back, a bunch of ideas, things I think would work.
Yeah, love that.
Feedback, constructive feedback. I think it's gone pretty well thus far, and we know how each other work, and I think it's a good duo relationship. I don't know if Devin agrees, but I think it works.
I think it was a lot easier for us when we were in the same place to be like collaborating on the same thing.
Yeah.
Being in the same room.
I think because I've been working on Logic much longer and know it a bit more. It was easy for us to get in the same room and like talk out and like play things out and test them out. What works, this doesn't work. Do we like this? And then kind of like the more technical side, I would do a lot of the mixing just as we went on the back end. And I feel like now that we're in quarantine, it's a bit harder because we have to go back with like whips, or I don't know if you've used Audio Driver. Like we've had a lot of Audio Driver nights.
Audio
movers, that's what it is.
Right,
like,
right. I know what you're talking about.
We're technically sitting, like we're on the phone with each other and like both listening to the same stuff.
Yeah.
And going through it that way. But it's gotten a lot harder in the last year.
Almost there, yeah.
To be in the same place and workshop things. So the process has changed a bit, but like Sean, like he said, like he's bouncing all these, it's like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it, of like
he's the spark to your flame almost.
Yeah. And he kind of like reels us in, or like is a subconscious sometimes.
Like, no, not a good idea.
Well, I think recently, like I made this song and I was so jazzed about it. Like I was probably up all night, like working on it. And I sent it, I like bounced it out, did like a quick self master, and I sent it to Sean.
Oh.
And I wake up in the morning and he's like, I'm not really feeling this, man.
I was like, what do you got a tough job?
He said it to me before I went to bed. He's like, I'm not really feeling this. And I'm like upset. I'm like, dude, I just worked like 6 hours on this.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, man? Whatever. I'm going to bed. Yeah. And then like I wake up in the morning. I'm like, yeah, man, you're right. This is kind of garbage. So
nice. The late night sessions, I understand though.
I just think like having two sets of ears is better than one. And
yep.
Yeah. Especially when
always
one person knows.
Devin. And yeah, I feel like it from that standpoint, it's been a good working relationship, but definitely was easier when we were both, in the same city. Could get in the same room, work on stuff, both listen to the same thing. So we're managing well.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are overcoming though, man. I mean, you said 2020, you guys kind of separated geographically. It was still a really, really big year for you. I mean, biggest year ever, obviously. Like things have been going super well. Some big label releases. We talked about our homie Tom Greco of Rawsome Records, Spira, Rawsome Deep, guys on absolute terror right now to take over the industry, but bring everybody along with him. That's the difference between him and most people. I love this track on Spira, guys. Freak. And it was really cool because I hadn't heard this in a while. And when I was rolling through everything else kind of in chronological order, and I wanted to ask you that question about how you guys kind of graduated in my eyes as a producer duo. This track has it all. I mean, it is it is perfectly mastered. It is so catchy. It is entertaining. It is versatile. It is something that I call in Chicago open format house, that you can play it at a regular place where girls might say, if you're playing instrumental tech house, what the fuck is this? But if you play Freak by Poolhaus, you can get away with murder. And that's why I love Spira, because it really tiptoes that line of, like, I mean, not pop deep house, but pop tech house. So I really like this, guys. And it was obviously a new direction in some format. And it was a graduation on B-side on Kobu. I want to ask, because it's a really great track. How did you choose the vocal? How'd you get in touch with Greco? What's the whole story behind this one?
Well, I will say that Devin has an affinity towards 90s and early 2000s R&B.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, he does.
We have sampled a bunch of that stuff in past tracks.
Devin, you a big Missy Elliott guy then?
I'm so it's not cool to say it anymore, but I was a big R. Kelly guy.
Yeah,
big
not
R.
cool to say
Kelly,
anymore.
not cool to say it. Like Usher, I had like all of like every single song that Nelly made ever.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. Same.
So just that like
yeah,
that whole genre was big for me. But yeah, no, a little bit of a Missy Elliott. That vocal is just awesome, and then plus you have that
So
little guitar sample where it's like
Yep.
yeah, that was one of the last tracks that we were able to make together in New York, I think.
Oh, so this one was still in person?
That, and I have no idea when that came out, but that one was definitely still.
That was the first track to come out in 2019, I believe. Or sorry, 2020.
Yeah, there we are.
Like January or something.
Sean, I'm assuming you got in touch with Greco?
I think.
Or did you just submit it to him?
I think we just submitted to him. I think Spira had a demo email on their SoundCloud page.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I think I probably found, we had been listening to Spira edits for a while, and
no, the shit, dude.
Thought it'd be a good fit because it had that sample. So we probably couldn't release it as an official release somewhere. So we knew that they were doing those edits. Shot them a demo, and
yeah.
So you didn't produce this track thinking it's for Spira. You guys made this track, had it, and was like, "Where's the right home for this?"
Yeah, I feel like that's how it. There's only so many places that release those edits, and we didn't want to release it ourselves. I feel like now you see Hood Politics is blown up with their edits,
Mm-hmm.
but at the time it's Spira, them, House Chart. I don't know all the ones. But.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, everybody at Hood Politics fully acknowledges and appreciates the groundwork that Greco laid with Spira. It is this open format house. I had a great conversation with him when I interviewed him about this bridge that we're able to kind of pull off as selfish tech house DJs for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with no words all night. I know you guys are too, you know what I mean? But the common masses are not.
Man, we've played a ton of shows where the vibe is not where we can just play rolling tech house all night. We call it when we were at Ultra, there was this tent, and it was a tent of they weren't any of the headliners. It was just kind of there, and there were some hammocks around. It was called the Oasis tent.
Okay.
And that's what their thing was. It was lots of vocals, lots of real fun party tech house.
Right.
And that ends up being the vibe that we have to play a lot of times in New York, especially we'll play a place where they might not be coming for it's house music and they're here to hear house music, but it's not a place where everyone's standing below the DJ and jumping up and down. It's a rooftop bar, and sometimes people aren't coming there to hear you play. They're coming to hear
job. You're
exactly.
Getting paid. It's not a headliner gig. Totally. It happens in Chicago all the time. And that's why I think it's so versatile. somebody that makes a lot of great edits like Ben Rainey, you know, these remixes and all that sort of stuff. And that does so well in America. And I think literally this sort of party tech house that has the familiar 90s, 2000s R&B and hip hop is the reason why house music has been going like this for the past 20 years. And then now it's like, oh, okay, I can get down to this because we're speeding it up a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like people used to play that, like people used to play the Ben Rainey stuff in college. And like, I'm sure that now people are playing like these tech house streams. Like it's just kind of probably not naturally progressed into like, that's how house music is.
Like if you guys went back to UVA, if we did it back to back to back, we'd all be playing party tech house, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Love that.
You'd pop off there.
Yes, we would. We'd fucking light the place on fire. Now, on the fucking fire side here, boys, like this, another one on Kobu. This is a dope track. Now, this is a dope track because you again went outside the box and fused new disco with tech house. I mean, it's pretty cutting edge stuff, especially this time too. New disco has been around, but it's been used in a lot of different ways. Where did the inspiration come for this?
Again, like we were with Losh and his place, and he was showing us this like this new synthesizer he'd just gotten. New plugin, Vengeance. Have you ever heard of it?
Avenger.
Yeah, Avenger. Yeah.
And
so sick, dude. I used that in my in a recent track called the Shermanator. It's fucking sick. I love Avenger.
It's amazing. It's a staple in like any of our new stuff, the stuff that's come out in 2020, 2021, and the stuff that's going to come out. We've used it in almost every single track somehow. But like I feel like he was showing us a bunch of the sounds and the stuff that he was making with it, and had all these like those detuned like D like kind of things that were all through it.
Such a sick synth. I love it.
Yeah, and we immediately went back from his apartment, downloaded it, and played around. And like at the same time, though, I feel like you also saw the rise of like those ravey sounds and those stabs coming back in the mix for a lot of like the bigger artists.
Yeah,
like Eli Brown at the time was everywhere. Sean and I had just probably seen him at Izu, and I'm gonna forget the name of the song. Ecstasy and 92 Thing were played in every single set. And I feel like we also had the realization like, wow, like people are trying to add these new different sounds into tech house because like things are starting to sound the same and they need these new instruments. And there's like a little bit of a rave revival going. So like we wanted to add those tunes into kind of like a groovier tech house track and see if we could fit in like, wow, they're releasing these festival bangers that are just coming out with these sounds, but can they fit into something that's a bit groovier, something that someone can like dance to?
Yep. Absolutely. That's such a good point too, with building upon the foundations of tech house. That's what we're talking about now is like, yeah, it's 4 on the floor. Everything's 4 on the floor in the tech house world. But when it really comes down to it, you've got to be original. And that's a question I asked to basically every tech house producer that I have on the show is like, within this range, like how do you be original, right? Because anybody could go to, whatever production course on YouTube or buy and learn how to do it. But unless you really do that original thing that you either accidentally do or learn from others or find inspiration, then it's really hard to be unique. And I think that was so cool what you guys did in this track though. Great job.
Thanks, man.
We're proud of that one.
Definitely proud of that one. Still play that out in sets to this day.
That's on the USB, boy. That one is on my USB. Like there, and I mention this like every time too. It's this fine line of Is it a track that someone's going to heart on Spotify and maybe never share? Is it a track that someone's going to share to their friends and spread and put on social media and say, you got to check this track out? And then is it a track that's going to do both of those things and then make it onto the USBs of DJs and get played, right? It's like so hard to get all of them, but that track, guys, is one of those. So I love that. If you want to make more just for me, no problem. If you got some in the piggy bank that's unreleased, I'll take it. No big deal. But I love that style because I love new disco. Love new disco, and you got it. It's not a new disco track, so it really blends like my personal likings together. So I really like that one.
Awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But thicker, we got to talk about this one. Victor Bari, fucking, I think Nutty mentioned him to me. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember which Hood Politics guy it was. But they said Victor Bari is like one of the next big things. And when you guys put this track out, this one was immediately all three of those. Hearted it, shared it, put it on the USB. Such a banger because we're getting into that Hood Politics vibes, and Hood Politics came right after this, guys. So I felt the energy. You've got that peak hour energy, peak hour bang bang, as DJ Susan and I like to say. And you really snapped in this bass line. But what's so cool about this, and it really is kind of paying homage to what I just said, you guys made it unique with your breaks and the FX. Like, traditionally, it's a tech house track. It's a really groovy and busy yet simple bass line. But that is what made this track so great. And this was your first collaboration, right? Outside of you guys obviously working together.
Yeah, definitely first collab on a label. Yeah, it was actually an interesting story. I had reached out to Victor about getting a track for Deep Root, like through A&R.
Nice.
Last summer.
The Scout.
And he sent me this tune. It was like not super fleshed out. But I thought it was cool. It had that very like groovy bass line in it already. And I pitched it to Deep Root, and they said, it's not there yet. Maybe jump on it yourself to develop it more. And then we'll see, we'll reconsider. So we did that. We definitely beefed up the percussion, added some elements to the breaks. I think it came out super, super nice. And then it didn't work out with Deep Root, but Victor had a connection with this label from the UK, Vivifier, and
great label.
Yeah, that was a cool release for sure.
That's a great story. So you scouted him out, being like, "Hey, come onto the team." Then your team was like, "Maybe send it somewhere else," and then you ended up with this fucking banger.
Yeah, it's a ripper for sure.
Sometimes things just like work that way. They're random. They're weird. But it was a great match, sound wise, and he's a super nice guy, super talented.
Where's he based out of?
Brazil.
That Brazilian bass. Oh my God, those guys know what they're doing.
You can hear it, man. He definitely wrote that bass line. So I can't take credit for it, but you can tell.
I assume he did.
But he's definitely got that. He's got a sound, and you can see it play out in some of his other tracks as well. Like he's got that bass line, and just kind of like the whole feel of it is definitely. He has his own kind of lane going right now.
Yeah. Well, great collaboration for you guys, and it leads us into Hood Politics, guys. Double header in 1 week with the homie Zesto, who has also been building up his name. So
Zesto.
another great collaboration for you guys. La Baja and air guitar. So you guys obviously know my involvement with Hood Politics. I fucking love those guys, and great label. They don't just take anything, man. They take high quality, good energy, but most importantly, they look at the people behind the music. So just want to acknowledge you guys for that. Getting on Hood Politics is not an easy thing. And these are great tracks. I am not surprised they took them because I love them. Like air guitar, well, first off, La Baja is almost kind of like the Spirit release. You know what I mean? Like it's this really cool, like upbeat tech house version of a great classic. But air guitar, This is a fucking special track, guys. I mean, what was the whole experience like for you? Releasing on Hood Politics, becoming part of the family, doing another collab with a great producer, Zesto. Shout out to Zesto. What was like kind of the door-to-door experience for you guys?
Hood Politics was always like one that we wanted to be on. And it was kind of like when I said before we started chatting, like that we have a bunch of these goal labels that like we want to be on these labels, and that was definitely one of the first ones that was on our list. It's like Hood Politics. I think we'd been sending them like some of our tracks that definitely weren't fits for a while, and so it was a good feeling. But that those two tracks like came about. Sean played a Zesto track in a Deep Root mix that he did like at the beginning of quarantine, and it was he has got a track on Basement Sounds, and Zesto reached out to us. It was like, hey, like thanks so much for the support and for playing this song. And like we went back and forth a couple of times, and he's like, do you guys want to work on a track together? Like, sure. So we sent him like basically like it was a drum, like drums and bass, and kind of like a song fleshed out but not really fleshed out. And he did
Skeleton, classic Skeleton.
Yeah, and he did the same with us. And one of them ended up being La Baja. The one that he sent to us was La Baja, and the one that we sent to him ended up being air guitar.
Oh, that's fucking awesome! A true collaboration.
It was a true collaboration where like we both like exchanged like skeletons of songs and then came back.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was
that, like never happens, guys. I'm sure you know that. Like it doesn't happen that easy.
No, I mean, even like collabing with someone so far away isn't too easy. And like we both, I'm sure like, you know, like you have different styles of mixing, and like I like things like very compressed on my drums, which I know isn't the way to go all the time, but like, so people just have different preferences. So definitely interesting. And like, we're not used to like collabs. Obviously we start with Victor and then this one. So
yeah, well, yeah, the Zesto collab actually came about before the Victor one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Victor thing kind of came, you know, when all was said and done, it was like pretty short amount of time. But we connected with Zesto back in like maybe May of last year, and then I don't remember when we got the verbal commitment from Hood Poly.
They're usually
it was later in the summer.
Booked out. Yeah,
it was later in the summer, but yeah, so that was like our first real experience at or of collabing with someone, and he is based out of Australia, so it was interesting with the time difference.
Yeah.
Like
what is the time difference in Australia?
It's like 14 hours or something crazy.
I can't even do that math, bro. Yeah.
It was so hard to talk because like you could only send a message a day. Like we would send him something and then he would respond the next day.
Yeah, it was funny once we like started a DM thread with Hood Politics and like three of us in it. Like yeah, he wouldn't get like the assets for like another day, and like it was funny. But he's a super nice dude, talented producer. So like those two tracks with Hood Poly, they were a good like happy medium between his sound and ours. And super happy with how those turned out. And super hyped to join the Hood Poly fam. They're such great guys putting out such good music. The trajectory is just like through the roof with them. So.
Their recent releases have been incredible. Just like,
it's super inspiring for us.
Like even the even the IDs that they're playing and like the unreleased stuff, you're like, wow, like
dude,
they are about to take off.
You guys have no idea. Sure. Susie sent me everything they have through August, and
stop it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Jaw dropping, bro.
All immediately on the USB.
Dude, it's so funny because they all are free download, and I'm like, this should be illegal what I'm doing right now, dude.
Yeah, you've got the secret launch codes.
I do. I can't even handle it. I need to give the key. It needs to be 2 keys, dude. Like I need somebody else to be like, you can do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't blow this off. But congratulations to you guys, man. It's a great label. You deserve the release on there because they're awesome tracks. And you finished 2020 off with a bang. And big, massive shout out to you guys because, like I said, 2020, every artist had every reason to quit. Really, really no reason to keep going. But you guys proved that you're in it for the right reasons, the love of music. You continue to put out awesome tracks, collaborate with people from all over the world, Brazil, Australia. I mean, that's special, guys. So just take a second and just like know you're doing this. It's happening. You didn't stop. We made it through, guys. It's almost over, I think. I don't know. But we're here. And you killed 2020. I'm gonna give you a round of applause.
Appreciate that, man.
Absolutely, guys. Now, 2021, we already got 2 fucking bangers out, guys. Year's off to a great start, and I'm excited to ask what's going on after this, but let's just touch base on these. Lose Control, Space Yacht. Comes out of fucking left field. Come on now, y'all. You guys, God, I mean.
That's a very funny track. The story behind that one's awesome.
Dude, I mean, first off, so Boyish is kind of blowing up. Local Singles, who you mentioned earlier, and I'm glad you brought them up because I wanted to ask about them. But before we even talk about the track, Space Yacht, man, love those guys. Love what they're doing. I mean, you guys are hopping on like a tsunami right now. Like they're literally about to fucking crash over the whole entire world with this label. And it's been a blessing in disguise, this pandemic, in a lot of different ways because people like Space Yacht, who are so influential in a cultural perspective, are now giving opportunities to no-namers. You know what I mean? Like not no-namers, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys, man. Let's hear the story behind this track. It sounds like Devin's chomping at the bit to tell me right now. So let's start with you.
It's multifaceted. Sean's gonna have to hop in.
Okay.
But it starts with the Local Singles guys.
Okay.
Who Chaz is a friend of mine. So back when I was making like tropical house and future bass, I met Chaz through this music blog that was started at Trinity by these guys that were older than me and Sean called Mugatunes. I don't know if you've heard of it.
That's such a good name. Wow.
Yeah. And we were tight with them. It's a real like college focused blog. They like bring on tastemakers and stuff. So like they were good for us releasing like our future house and tropical music. And then I started making house. Chaz he's like a sick like future bass. He makes lo-fi and like incredibly well produced. It's amazing. If you go back on his other stuff, I don't know if his SoundCloud ever got the burn that it deserves, but he hit me up in early 2020 and was like, hey, me and my buddy are starting a house duo and I want to work on a song with you guys. Like, can I send you this thing? And he sent me this song and like, it was a little slow. We ended up like speeding it up and adding a bunch of stuff, and it changed it a lot. And it didn't have any vocals, but that became like the base of what Lose Control was. And it turns out like the other kid that he was starting this thing is his childhood friend, who was the guy who booked us back at UVA 2 years ago. Yep. Yeah. And so like it kind of came full circle, like, wow, we're working with this guy. And they didn't even have the name Local Singles yet, I don't think. You're going to have them on to have their full story.
I got to.
But so now we've got the instrumental for the loose instrumental of what Lose Control would end up being. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it doesn't sound like what it sounds like now. There's a ton that was changed, but we were like, oh shoot, like we need vocals. So this is where I got to pass it off to Sean.
Yeah.
So I think like early on in quarantine, I stumbled across this duo called Boyish on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I had heard a track of theirs called People Wanna. That was, I think it was their first ever release, but it was Friday Crate Diggers is where I heard it. And I thought it was super, super tight. So I gave them a follow on Instagram. And then like a few months later, down in Miami, so they're both Miami based.
Okay.
A few months later, I'm like here in Miami. I'm on Hinge, and shit you not, I match with Amanda from Boyish, and
What?
well, I recognize this girl's face, and I was
Yeah.
like, where the fuck have I seen this girl?
You match, want to collab, bro?
And I reach out to her first, and I'm like, are you by any chance Amanda from Boyish? Like, you look super familiar. She's like, ha ha ha, ha, yeah. Like, holy shit. Like, I think you, and like, and I mentioned that I'm part of Poolhaus, and it was really hysterical.
That's awesome.
She fucked with our music, and I basically was like, we have this project that we're looking for original vocals, and I know that you and your partner Kristen record vocals. You're vocalists. You do original vox on all your tracks. Would you be interested in taking a look at what we have, maybe writing something? And the rest is history, man.
They both wrote, like, they each wrote a verse, and then we chopped up the parts that like fit best and did the whole thing, and then eventually found a home for it at Space Yacht, which was awesome.
It went through a bunch of different versions, but I feel like the end product came out pretty well. And
for sure.
And
get on Space Yacht's first comp.
Like you said, Space Yacht's got that like especially in quarantine, they have that whole brand that they've got going, which they had like their whole party brand before, and they've just kind of like taken that in with the live streams, and they do like demo days. They got a big community. It was like
Tune Reactor has been huge.
Yeah. And so kind of like a good home for it to be in an up and coming, like they're doing tech house now. Like I feel like they weren't really tech house before. So like, they're like, yeah, we want to start doing tech house. And it was a great home for it.
Dude, fuck yeah, guys. That is, first off, such a great story. Thank God that Sean's a ladies' man, I guess, hopping on Hinge. But I'm not a single guy. Is Hinge where the non-creepers go these days? Is we're kind of funneled from Tinder to Bumble to Hinge?
I haven't used that app in months.
You got a girlfriend? I was about to ask, is this your girlfriend now?
No. Amanda is not my girlfriend. We are homies though. The whole like local singles, Poolhaus, Boyish crew. We're super tight.
Still.
Hopefully, we'll have some more projects with them in the near future.
It's great, man. But and all props to the Space Yacht. I'm such a big fan of what they do, and again, a party brand. Like literally, we throw electronic house music parties, dubstep, whatever it is. I interviewed actually a guy based in Chicago. His name's CLB. He was the first release on Space Yacht, and it was drum and bass, right? And drum and bass is something that's growing so much in the U.S. And when he was kind of giving me the story behind what London Bridge and Hidden Hen are going for, it's exactly what we're talking about. Just kind of like if it's a good track, I want to put it out. I want the people to hear it. And they're going to come out of this so much bigger than they were before. Like, it's just really special to see brands like that taking it to the next level. And congratulations to you guys, because like I said, I mean, it's not hopping on the bandwagon, man. You guys fucking picked up your surfboards and got on this giant wave with 50 other producers that are trying to make a name for themselves too. So big surf party going on for Space Yacht, man. I love it.
Yeah, that one was so fun. The local singles people, the Boyish girls, like I feel like we all still have like a group chat and chat pretty frequently, and like it's always a funny conversation. There's always something going on. The local singles guys are like a riot.
Yeah.
So
a real hoot.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to the Truth and Lies guys for their Twitch demo sessions.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we haven't touched upon. It's been a major help for us, past like 5 or 6 months.
Being able to send tunes to the guys.
This track in particular, just getting good peer feedback.
Yeah.
From them and like other people in the community. on that and other demos that we've sent. So major shouts to them. They're the homies.
Yeah, the whole virtual community that has like popped up throughout. Like I felt like before you were in like the New York community, and there was probably like a Miami community and an LA community. Yeah. And those are who you saw and like who you became friends with. And like all these virtual communities now have popped up with, like you had Tune Reactor. We've been pretty active in like the Truth and Lies one, where they've got like this whole crew of people who tune in every Thursday and tune in every Saturday to hear their demo streams or their mixes. And it's like not only good for them, but like for people like Sean and I being able to meet other people who are like in the same spot, like sending out demos, you know, working to try and make new stuff, and like probably getting a lot of rejections, but then getting some wins. Like you meet all of those people as well. And it's like, there's so many people else in the same boat who like understand, who get the grind, I guess.
Absolutely, guys. And that's what I meant in the beginning by like 90% of the glacier is not what shows. And that's what goes on in this ecosystem is, dude, we're all just like trying to make our way up. And the fact of the matter is there's a lot of people right next to you and we can help each other out. Collaboration over competition, man. That's the biggest thing right now. And I see that so much. So hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out to everybody doing demo streams.
Absolutely.
We got to talk about the most recent track though. I don't know if you saw, but I played it in a live stream, or it was a live stream, but it was like at a proper club, guys. Your Tell Me remix, which Sean actually sent to me in advance. Thank you, Sean. Wow, guys. Holy fuck. Like, it's one thing to release or listen to a track in your, headphones. I even have a sub pack, right? Just because I love that shit. But it's not the same as when you hear it on a club system. And this remix is so good. God damn, guys. Like, you took 10 steps up. What the fuck? Like, I'm getting anxious and excited right now talking about this track because it's so fucking good. It was a remix by DeVault, very well-known producer, Baby Jake, great vocalist. I got to hear the full story on this one because in my eyes, again, you reached new levels of what's possible in music production. You really did. You really did. Like, the fact that you did that in Logic is inspiring to me as a producer because sometimes when you hear tracks that are so good, you're like a Dead Mouse track or a Prids track, you're like, they made that in something that nobody else has their hands on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to clap again, guys. I really love this one. How did it come together?
I'll let Sean kick this off. Yeah.
Okay. So we actually know DeVault's manager from New York.
Sean, you know everybody, don't you?
He
does, man.
I would talk to him.
He used to throw events in New York before COVID. He had this little event company. They still throw events. And Duncan, who's DeVault's manager, came to the Deep Root showcase at Marquee that we played and saw us, and then reached out to us after the fact and was like, I'm putting on this event. I think it was Sean Frank who he got to play the headline, and he wanted to see if we could open, and we were all for it. We met him and have been close, pretty tight with him since. He spent actually a lot of time down here in Miami, and we've been hanging. But
it's awesome.
So this is actually our second attempt at a DeVault remix.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, earlier last year, he gave us the chance to remix a track. I forget exactly which one it was. Devin, do you remember?
I don't remember, but it was as part of his EP on Insomniac.
Yeah, it was like an EP from last year. He gave us the stems, and we made a remix, but that never saw the light of day because I don't think Insomniac, gave the green light to do remixes.
Yeah.
So that never happened, but he gave us another chance once DeVault had this new Tell Me Blue EP out with Baby Jake. He immediately hit me up and was like, got a project for you. If you want to do it, like give this a crack. We're going to put out a remix pack of Tell Me. And obviously we weren't going to say no to that.
Dude, so good. The vocals in that song.
At the time, we didn't even know it was going to come out in a pack with Dylan Nathaniel.
Yeah.
And like Cryptogram. It was super cool. And also, I think like we mentioned before, using audio movers. I feel like that came in particularly clutch for this remix. We did a bunch of sessions, just like me listening in on what Devin was doing, because I really wanted to make sure that like, we did this one right. But I guess Devin can take it from here.
Yeah, Sean underplayed it. Like he became like pretty tight with Duncan, I feel, after that show. And like Sean spun like a couple of private parties for him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that Devote remix was like totally props to Duncan for thinking of us there. And yeah, great opportunity. Devault, his music's so sick. And like I feel like if you've been on SoundCloud in the last 6-7 years, then you've had to have heard some of those ones that have blown up. I feel like he's a persona of someone who probably started remixing songs on SoundCloud and blew up after that. So yeah.
Like so many.
And VPS Avenger came in. VPS came in big. All those sequencers, man. That's the thing. One of the local singles guys was like, "Man, what's that synth you're using?" I was like, "Dude, it's Avenger. You got to get it. You got to download it. It's Avenger and it's Decapitator. That's all it is."
Yes, Decapitator. God,
it'll make any of those things just sound a little bit more analog, like they need to.
So sick though. I mean that track, guys. I played it out. And I remember when Sean sent it to me and like it had a download link on it. I was like, thank God, like I'm putting this into a playlist. Next time I can play this track. And that's the break and build in the second part, guys, is so special. And it's just really, really powerful. It's emotional. And again, it's just like really cool to hear. I mean, that's your most recent track, to hear us do this full circle. You guys have a lot of full circle moments, don't you? When we talk about the Treat Me Like a Lady remix and we come to this, I mean, this is on steroids compared to that. But like, not that there was anything wrong with that track, but this, I'm telling you, like, you guys have leveled up. You've reached something really, really spectacular here. And I hope you realize that. Like, you guys have grown as producers, and to get that acknowledgement and the validation from DeVault, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't just like, I mean, yeah, of course you had the friendly connection, but you still put out the product. You still delivered.
Yeah. The melodic thing, I think it keeps popping up in like our music. And I feel like it's something that Sean and I try to go back. It's tough to do with Tech House, but like,
yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of our future tracks and the ones that we're making now will have a bit of that vibe in it.
What is to come right now? Because you mentioned with label releases, which is what you guys have been doing successfully. Usually those come out 3 months later at minimum. So are we walking into like the biggest and best year of Poolhaus yet right now?
We hope so.
John's got a fucking curious ass smile right now. I already know the answer to this question.
So we were supposed to have a release like next week. But that is being unfortunately pushed to May.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an upcoming track on House of Hustle, on actually a VA. Super excited about that one.
That's awesome.
I think that one might be one of our best yet, personally. And recently we signed another track to Don't Blink's label, Low Ceiling.
Yes, I saw No Pants Party just released on there, and I'd seen them before.
Yeah. Very
pumped
excited about those two. And then we have a few others that are like that were in the midst of
you guys. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Landing homes for.
You got a resume at this point now too, boys. Like you got Hood Politics, you got Space Yeah, you got Spira. I mean, you got official remixes. It's great. Keep building.
That's the plan, man. I feel like 2020 has been like a lot of people, no matter where they're at, have been just trying to build on the music. I feel like you see people like Fisher stop releasing music because like why would they? They can't, play it at shows and whatnot. But then you have like all those Hood Poly guys, like the House of Hustle guys, like everyone just releasing a ton of songs. Get Twisted. Those guys have been crushing it. Like just as much music as they can. And same like Deep Root. Greco started a label, didn't he? That Rossum White. Yeah. Yep. And it's grown massively in this some time frame. So like window opened up for some people.
Yeah.
When other people, cooled the jets.
Yeah. Well said, man. And that's kind of the reality of the situation is you got to be more relevant than ever. And I think you guys have experienced this. When you hold on to music that you don't release because it either doesn't find a label or it just doesn't find the right home and you sit on it and you never release it, you never really get the real feedback because in my experience, and maybe you guys resonate with this too, when you release a track, it sounds a lot different once it's finally out there rather than when it's in your headphones and you haven't released it, right? So I think that's just because you're like, fuck, it's really out there. Okay, like even if it's on a label, are people gonna like this? And you got to learn from that. You got to get feedback. You've got to hear from the people. Did they like it? Did they not like it? What did they like? What didn't they like? How do I feel about this track now? Am I going to go back to certain reference points as I continue to produce, as I continue to grow? And I think you have to just keep releasing music. That's kind of the fact of the matter, at least in my opinion. And like I said, too, you got every reason to not release music without live shows. We release music so we can fucking DJ it at parties, and festivals, and boat parties, right? And if that's not possible right now, that sucks. But the reality of the situation is you have to persevere. And you guys have done that.
And it's looking up that, those shows will be a possibility this year. So
yes.
Fingers crossed.
Or to Miami.
Fingers crossed.
You're always here, bro.
I know. What's the on that note, like what is a Poolhaus set like, guys? Because you guys both have a lot of different influences and inspirations. You have a Poolhaus vibe. But what like if you're coming to Chicago, what are we gonna hear?
I think it varies on the events.
Of course.
The venue, time of day. But definitely like I'd say like upbeat, like party tech house vibes for at least like a good portion of the set. Like to play as much of our own music as possible, but I feel like Devin and I are just like massive fans of just like so many other artists that like we just want to rinse out all these like new like sick tunes.
Well, and you guys are great DJs too. Like you were DJs primarily before you were real producers, right? So that's where the real love comes from.
Yeah, just like high energy stuff. I feel like if people aren't dancing, then you're doing something wrong, right? As low energy as we may seem right now, it's like I feel like once you get behind there and you kind of feed off each other, I feel like when we were at Treehouse recently, that's definitely what it felt like. We hadn't been in the same room, like playing together for so long that it was like trying to one up each other on each track. Like, I play one and Sean's like, I know this one. This one's gonna be better, and then you're like, oh shit, man, Sean played a sick track.
Yeah,
that's awesome, guys. I look forward to the time I can see you DJ live in person too. I know we're all missing that, but we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get back.
Yeah, man, we definitely gotta link up when this is over.
Absolutely. So, as a DJ producer duo, it's has its advantages and disadvantages. Like we've talked about when it comes to production, there are certain levels of creativity, there are certain levels of skill set and inspiration. When it comes to DJing, there are certain influences or styles, but there's a lot of other things, the business, the being in different places. What's like some of the most difficult parts of being in a duo? And then what are also some of your guys' favorite parts? And we'll start with Sean and then we'll go to Devin.
Difficult parts. Well, during the pandemic, trying to the creative process remotely.
Yeah.
Trying to do that remotely has been tough. But we talked about that. I think Devin and I are at the point now where we like truly like, we're super close friends, and I just feel like the working relationship is very seamless with us.
Awesome.
We never really get like that pissed at each other. We'll get like annoyed here and there.
You guys
but,
are too chill, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Devin's my fucking boy. Like,
yeah. I love that.
And I think that's, it would suck if he wasn't. So, I think, advantages. I feel like we both bring different things to the table. I like to network, and I do the A&R stuff on the side. Devin has very, very rock solid understanding of Logic, and I'll feed him with some ideas. He'll make some cool shit, and it works out.
Yeah,
so.
Love that, man.
Yeah, I feel like Sean really hit the nail on the head. Like, difficult times you might disagree on certain things. So like I said, like if I'm really feeling something and Sean's not, and you kind of have that like, well, this is a little frustrating, man. Like I really like that part of the song, and you want me to take it out. Or if he's like, well, you should add these, and I'm like, well, I don't think it needs that. Like that kind of thing. I think it can be tough sometimes, but
Sure.
He really hit we both complement each other well, and like. I'm not really good at doing the whole networking thing. Like when we go out at places, like Sean's the one who he seamlessly fits in, like makes friends with all of the people around us, and like stays in touch with those people a ton, which I think you can see with like the boyish stuff and with Duncan, and like even the Deep Root guys, like Kyle we've become incredibly like close with Kyle, someone that like we kind of just latched onto after that first time we played at Deep Root.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's amazing. And the best part though, like, is you have a friend in this. I feel like you look at a lot of people who are doing it solo, and I'm sure like it gets tough sometimes mentally, especially when you're in quarantine. I'm sure, especially now, it's been really tough on people who are like by themselves, doing this by themselves. They might get down on themselves. I don't really know. I feel like that kind of stuff isn't really talked about so much in terms of the DJ side, but then you see things like Avicii or incredible things like that, that are just so disheartening. And I feel like it's a real thing. And having someone else who's like a really good friend to be around while you're doing this together is, I think, definitely where it's, I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to be a duo when it comes to that. Sometimes it's like a team.
Yeah, you guys make
love you, Bill.
Oh, that's cute. I love that. You guys do have a bit of a cosmic connection, though, in one way or another. How you guys, if you look at it, when you first didn't like each other, and then for whatever reason, you guys get put in the same place. You like the same sort of music. You kept growing together. You experienced life milestones together, and you said, fuck it, we're gonna make a DJ duo and we're gonna start producing music. And look at you guys now, man. Really, in a short period of time, all things considered, you've come a long way. And again, I do envy a lot of the aspects of your collaboration, your duo here. You can lean on each other, and that's something that's special because you guys have experienced it. You just mentioned it. Whether you are leaning on each other or not, sometimes we're all sitting in a dark room by ourselves, and there's no one that's going to believe in you except yourself. And when you're in a duo, you are able to have that person to say, dude, it's just not my day. Or, dude, why are we doing this? And the other guy is like, we're doing this because we love this. Now fucking pucker up and turn up that fucking sub bass, and let's have a good ass time right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hit the nail on the head, man.
Yeah, with the sub bass.
Yeah, with the sub bass. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the contentious point. Sean's like, turn up the sub bass. I'm like, I can hear it.
Oh,
it's coming to the mix fine.
I struck a nerve, yeah. So what would be, I guess, your guys' last piece of advice as well? There's a ton of young producers that watch the show that are always reaching out, trying to find a way to make a name in their music industry, whether it be a DJ, a producer, label heads. What would be your one piece of advice? And since we're looking at Devin right now, what would be your advice, sir?
I feel like it's like I think you see it a lot in the music industry. It's like your ego is your own worst enemy. I feel like
amen.
You see it so many people that are doing awesome things, and it's because they're just great people and they have people gravitate towards them. So I feel like that's one thing that like everyone should be thinking about is you're going to be running around the same people at all times. Like, and I'm sure you've seen the demise of some certain DJs over the past year or so when they were just kind of assholes and people found out, and it really destroyed their careers. And I'm not going to name any names, but that and like the hours, man, I'm sure everyone who's been on Logic has like been on it forever. It's an incredible amount of hours, and you don't see the amount of time that those big names, like those Camel Fat guys, they were around. They're like 40. They were around for like 17 years or so under a bunch of different names before they became Camel Fat. It's
long, dude. People forget. I remember their Constellations mix or release on Spinnin' in like 2012.
Yeah, it's incredible. And when you think about like a lot of the people that are the big names in tech house or the big names in house, like they've all been at it for an incredible amount of time. It's like just trying to remember that it doesn't always, like it doesn't happen overnight. It's like it's a very long process and a lot of trial and error and a lot of learning. And like the stuff that you make in, 3 years ago, you're going to hate 3 years later, but it's just part of the process.
So make sure you love what you do. Exactly. Love that. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I think like Devin said, just be a good person. Stop, don't compare yourself to others. Like everyone sort of moves at their own rate. Don't get caught up in what other people are doing. I think that's a big one. And just stick to the process, grind, and you'll get there. And in some capacity, you'll get to where you want to be. So
enjoy the little wins while you get them.
Exactly.
No matter how little they are.
Absolutely.
One fan, one stream. I always think about that too. It's like, and you just said it, Sean, don't compare. Don't compare yourself to people who are having huge amounts of success. Because if you do, it's gonna be a short road for you in this industry. And that's what I always say, man. Like if just us did this interview and watch this interview and that's it when I release it, all the same to me, because I genuinely enjoy this stuff. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. And that's literally my bread and butter. It's just having special conversations with people that share the same interests. And if that's what people get out of the music industry when they go through it, fuck yeah. You're going to sit on your rocking chair and say, you know what? I didn't headline Ultra, but I can't tell you how many great times I had with awesome friends in the studio or at shows that we put together, and hungover days that we shared, and shots that we shouldn't have taken, or whatever else it might be, right? Like that's what life's all about. It's about the relationships that you have. And I think people lose sight of that because, again, I'm going to full circle it for us right now. They see that 10% of the iceberg that they think they have to reach. And if you get there, awesome. But don't forget about everybody else below the surface. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Spot on. Well said. You got away with words, Sherm.
I like metaphors. Well, I'm getting really good at these metaphors, guys.
It's practice, man. What's this number? 119, 190?
Bro, yeah, I don't know. You tell me. I don't know what happened in the past year, but we fucking pumped out the content, and here we are now. This is, I got it right here. Yeah, 153, boys. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's the grind right there.
It's truly been a pleasure, guys. Seriously, I cannot wait to see some new music out this year. Again, I will take unreleased records. No problem. I won't share them.
I got you on the promos, mate. Don't worry.
Thank you, Sean. Mate, we got a fucking guy who talks to UK DJs, dude. I say it all the time. I'm like, if you talk to a UK guy, I'm like, I gotta say mate. I can't say mate. I say man. I can't say man. They don't say man. Mate, how you doing, mate?
That's hilarious.
Just a couple of American guys, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, this has seriously been such a pleasure, guys. Congratulations on all your success so far. Keep going. Keep doing your thing. I love your music. You've got so much potential, and I really just can't say it enough. Like, I'm a big fan, and it's just been such a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much for having us, man. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I love your guys. Dude, this fucking Tell Me remix, I'm dropping that shit. That's like gonna sneak in any big set I can because it does it. It just does it.
I love it. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Well, you guys have a good night and enjoy Delaware. And I don't have to tell Sean enjoy Miami. He's probably going out to some open air club where fucking local bands is playing a 7-hour set. Yeah, just lie to us. Just lie to us, okay?
All right, bro.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you again. I appreciate
Peace,
it.
man. Thank you.
Hey, what's up? And thanks for watching that video. You looking for more content now? I got your back. Go to my YouTube channel right now, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you turn on all notifications so you never miss any upcoming exclusive artist interviews, Sherman the Booth clips, new music, live sets, and more. This is your one-stop shop for everything electronic music. Cheers.